Welcome to the Sim Den once more. This could be the final time before I dismantle it and watch the incoming video for that. This is Ride 2, I was going to have a play on. I've played it a little bit. It's pretty good for a motorcycle game. The thing is, motorcycle games have never been that good. Now, I'm an absolute avid motorcyclist. I've been riding for 20 years or so. I've done a lot of track time, so I've had sports bikes. I've done a lot of touring, got a touring bike. I'm crazy about bikes. So I absolutely love a good motorcycling bike. There's not really been any. And, well, let's play this and have a little talk about it. So this bike you start off with is the Ducati Cafe Racer. This is a special kind of racy edition some guy made. I believe it's for peace, inspired by some terrorist attack. So we've got different modes. We've got like quick race mode, as you would expect, time trials, and then we've got the career mode. If you go into this guy, you can pick various different styles of races to do. When you go into them, it'll tell you the maximum PP. So that's like the performance of the bike, if you will, how fast it is, what suspension it's got. It all adds PP points. And you can actually push your bike by customizing it past these numbers. So this is up to 250, and my bike customized up, this P62, is 232, so I'm still under what some of the other bikes may be. You could probably go out there and find a bike you can get exactly to 250. Now I've got this on the Triscreen, as you can see. This game doesn't support it, but it looks quite well and the distortion is not crazy. Bike games are notoriously difficult to drive, and there's a reason for that. Is it's a very unusual thing when you're riding a bike. You control the bike with your weight, and you actually counter steer. So you push the opposite way. So if you want to, when you're going at faster than say 10 miles an hour, you push the opposite way to steer, and you convert that to a game. So you want to turn right, you push right. Kind of doesn't really create the sensation you get riding a bike. And I think most people who love bikes want to play games about bikes. You've never really had that sensation of what you do in the real world. It's very difficult to capture. Now I think the problem is they've not really tried super alternative methods of doing this. I think a better way of doing it would be you control the person's weight on the bike rather than control the handlebars. You can actually see on some bikes you'd be doing 100 miles an hour and you push right, and the handlebars turn like the wheel is turning to the right. So that's completely wrong. Like, that wouldn't happen in real life. You would, you actually push at forward left, turn the handlebars to the right, and the bike will turn left. So it's kind of messed up. You can see here I'm just plodding around on this bike now. I'm playing on a controller, which is the first time in the Sim Den, because the wheel would not work very well because the return to center is too far. So you can get bike handlebars. I've never tried them. I don't know what that would be like. Ideally, you would have a proper simulator where you could lean off it and it would, have springs on it with some kind of powered actuation. I think that's what you would need for a proper sim for a bike. I've never tried anything like that. I've been on the arcade machines where you can tilt, and that's a lot of fun. Now, this bikes, I mean, it's not bad. One thing it does quite well is tracking in and out of a corner. So you can see I'm going in and braking, and I've got kind of pro mode on here, so I've got no arrows telling me where to go. And if you play this game at first, I would definitely recommend them, because what it'll do, it will give you like a green arrow when you're going the right speed, and it will go, sorry, it's blue, and then it goes green when you're kind of on the edge, and then it'll go red when you're going too fast. So you know when you're going into a corner, you're going well too fast, so you need to slow it down. Also, it'll have auto braking, which you might want on as well, just so you get used to steering, and then it'll auto brake for you. What happens when you turn all those things off is you'll start sliding a lot, because you can see the handlebars going a little bit, and that's because I'm braking pretty hard when I'm turning. Now, also in real life, you may not know this even if you ride on the road, but if you ride on the track, you will know this. If you brake hard, the bike will stay straight. The gyroscopic forces in the wheel, you can imagine the weight of the wheel and it's spinning. It's a lot of force, and when you brake, it releases that, and all the wheel wants to do is go straight. So it will keep the bike straight. So if you're on a racetrack, if you're braking hard going down towards a corner, you can actually lean off the bike as much as you want. If you're hard on the brakes, the bike will just stay straight. And as soon as you come off the brakes, the bike will tilt in. It's an amazing feeling to do it on the track. Now this game doesn't really do any of that. I can brake really hard. What it will do, it'll slide the front wheel out, which is would happen on a bike, but it doesn't stand the bike up. So if I turn into a corner hard and slam the brakes on, you see the bike doesn't stand up. It will judder like it's losing the front end, but what it should do is they should introduce in the mechanism of riding the bike the real life physics of bikes. And I think if they did that, and if they made steering more based on weight distribution of the player on the bike, so I don't know if I can, yeah, you've got like a helmet view there. So I was just not, there we go. So you can see it's like an animation of the guy moving around the bike, but I'm not actually controlling that. He's just doing that depending on how I'm turning. So it's like I'm the bike and I'm not the rider, if you will, if that's understandable. So the bike's tilting over and the guy climbs off it. It's kind of backwards. So maybe they need to play with the mechanics of the games like this, because I've never really played a great motorcycle game. They're good because I love motorcycling, and especially the MotoGP series, I always enjoyed them because I love MotoGP. Not because they've mastered motorcycles in games, and it really doesn't capture, like I play Assetto Corsa, Project Cars, iRacing, whichever, Dirt Rally. They capture motorsports. I've been on the track in cars, and they do really capture the feeling, some of it, a lot better than these bike games do. And maybe it's because they don't have the budget, they don't get the sales. But I would really like to see something in the future which was more of a sim, a motorcycle racing sim. Maybe there's something out there I don't know about. Now you can see this looks cool. The graphics, they're nothing of today you would expect, and again, they may not have the budget, but the rider, the bikes look great. I don't know why I'm in first place here, because I'm kind of talking, and the actual, I was saying before, the tracking in and out, like you can come off and you can brake, and the nose of the bike comes round, so that's good. That's how it should be. If you try and keep on the power, it'll just push the bike out like that. I mean, that's how it should work. Obviously you don't control your bias like you do when you're riding a bike. You can feather the back brake, which is a lot safer going into a corner. Now this is a bike I bought in this game, so this is a sports bike, and this is a 600 RR Honda. Now they came out in 2003, I think this is a 2004 they're showing you, but this was my first sports bike. So I had an unfed bike I learnt on, and then I bought this, and on this bike in 2003, 2004 I went and did track days. Now it doesn't really sound like the bike, it's too whiny, it's far too whiny. This is a 600cc, it's like 100 horsepower. It does whine nice at the top end, but definitely not, oops, sorry mate, just touched the back wheel there. So you can see, when you've got it in like pro drive mode, you're quite vulnerable like you are on a bike, so that's nice. And if you go in really slow and you nail it, you will spin the back end out, more so on the 1000 bikes than the below 600cc bike. One thing is, without the guides turned on, you really need to learn a track, you really need to learn the bike, because they're so different in performance. I don't really know this track, but you can if you can see it, you can read it, but I'm not going to win any races. I was saying about tracking it out with the power, you'll definitely see that more on a racetrack. It's easier because you got all the space, you got the curbs. Now something else with the controller, it's really hard to put in small movements. So it's not so bad when you're full over or just going straight, but if you just want to make a little alteration and it's like you're tapping it, it's really difficult. And also with these games, they have like a skateboard effect to it. When you start wiggling on a skateboard, Bikes don't really act like that much. Like a bike will want to go straight, especially when you're accelerating and braking. It will want to stand up. And here, if it's like, if you turn, and it will rock you back and forward. Now it looks quite nice when you're flipping over. Like the camera doesn't go low enough. I'll show you some footage from my bike on the track. But you can see from that, you're quite high going straight, and when the bike's over, you're really low to the track. And here it's like, you wouldn't be that far over going that fast. When you're going around tight corners, you should be like on the track, you know, it just doesn't seem like it goes over the same. That's any kind of comparison. Also, there's zero ambience to your speed. Like, go on a motorcycle. I mean, you could be wearing earplugs, yes, but even so, you will hear the rustle of the wind. You know, if you're doing up to 150, 170 miles an hour, you feel like you're an Exocet missile. You really do. Like the environment around you is horrific. You know, and it's all hitting you in the face, in the torso, even when you're crouched down. And this is just completely isolated from that. Like, I could be going 10 miles an hour now. There's nothing. There's no wind noise. There's no, you know. Even when you crash, it's like, whoa, it's like your bike just turned off. What about the scraping noises? What about the, you know, we need something. You know, immerse us in the game. This is just rubbish. Okay, so this is a Northwest 500. If you want to see like road tracks, it has the Ulster GP as well. It doesn't have the Isleman TT for some reason. And this is like the classic 916, which I think is one of the most gorgeous Ducatis ever made. I don't really know this track, so it'll be difficult. So you have to really know the tracks. You have to really want to practice on them a lot. Maybe on a slower bike as well. This bike, brakes are probably not that good. Very difficult to do inputs on the bike as smooth as you want. Like, motorcycles do not ride like this. Like, if you're young and you've never ridden motorcycles or fast bikes, they want to go straight. Like, when you're accelerating and braking, they want to go straight. What happens here, if we're steering left and I try to pull the bike up, you know, if it's fast, to make it go straight rather than let it come up itself, you will, shit dude, it will flip the other way. It's very difficult to bring the bike up fast to straight. Now they need to remedy that by pushing forward or something, or pulling back. And because real bikes don't act like that. You'll also see, like, when I'm putting inputs in now, it's just steering it like I'm controlling the bike, I'm not the guy riding it, and it's turning the wheel from left to right to go left to right. It doesn't really work like that. Whoa, dude. Crash. These guys are playing argy-bargy. So you can see as I'm turning right, it's pushing your left hand forward. That's not how it would work. You would counter steer. You would pull or push your right hand forward to go right. Sounds weird, but that's how it is in real life. So they really need to play with the mechanics a lot. I would really love like a game that is like when iRacing came out. They had very few tracks. The tracks were well done. The cars were like, you get one car literally. That was so well done. I would love that with bikes. If people made that. I got a bit of a tank slapper there, and I don't know what happened there, and I got like a turbo or something. I think that was a bit of a bug. I was pressing the brake and the thing was rocket shipping. It's like I'm getting lag or something. I'm not playing online either. So yeah, the mechanics would mean I wouldn't recommend this for any great amount of money for a real motorcycle enthusiast who's ridden a lot and who like, this is jumping around at the moment all over the place. The things that Assetto Corsa, you know, Project Cars a little bit, in this sim with the force feedback and the immersion of the screen or VR, gives me relative to what I've had on the track in a car, or driving a car in general, is great. It's brilliant. It captures a lot of that feeling. Obviously not the G-force and not the danger aspect and all that, but it does capture a lot of the sport for me. This captures very little. It has the graphics. The sound, you know, 5 out of 10. It's really not great. It's a bit, I mean, they've got a lot of bikes they have to have it for, so you're sure, but get a couple right. Maybe I've just not seen them yet. The mechanics of the controls are terrible, and they've been terrible in every game. Like, I really don't think they've, you know, really tried to come up with something that is unique and different and actually resembles, you know, the kind of things you do on a motorcycle. The handlebars don't move at high speed. You know, you'll push the bike and you'll rotate. You use your weight to get the bike over. You'll push on the handlebars, but the wheel will move very minimal. Like when you are going straight like this, to move from one side of the road to the other takes nothing. So maybe they need some kind of ratio of input, so the faster you're going, the less your stick does. You know, I don't know, just something better than how it is. Maybe I'm coming from like a simi enthusiast and this is an arcade game. Yeah, maybe some people will love it because they can ride all these bikes on some, you know, pretty good tracks. I mean, you can pop wheelies if you like doing that. But if you want to have some, if you're a motorcycle rider and you have been for a long time and you want to capture some of that feeling, you want to capture like some racetrack nostalgia or something, I don't think it really does it to me. It is very much like an arcade game. But I hope in the future someone does come out with a more sim-based game, especially with VR. You know, we don't need all the bikes. Let's have 1 or 2 bikes. Let's have 1 or 2 tracks done well, you know, really well thought out. And let's have a steering mechanism that captures how you ride a bike, maybe. So this might be the last video in the sim. I'm actually going to take it apart. The next video will probably be me taking it apart, and you'll see what I'm going to do with it. Mainly use it for a VR setup, I think. Yeah, so that will be the fun of the next video. I'm going to miss this, but it's just in the way at the moment for where life's going. So it's been fantastic. It was a lot of fun to build. I may build some lights in the future, but it will be like 4K screens then, and there'll be smaller bevels, and you know, I've learned a lot from building this. The next one will be better. So I will see you in the next video. This has been more about motorcycling and motorcycle games than it has Ride 2, but I thought I'd play Ride while I did it. And okay, bye bye.